Good morning, boys and girls, and happy Friday. Today we are going to continue on decimals. If you haven't watched yesterday's video yet, please go back and watch it. Today we're going to kind of take a step back though, and because we talked about the tenths place yesterday, today I kind of want to go over the different place value for decimals, and then we'll go on to the next one. So I first want to show you this number. This number, I forgot my comma, there's different place values for each digit. So the 4 we know is in the ones place, the 3 is in the tens, the 2's in the hundreds, and the 1 is in the thousands. This should be simple because this is something that you learned in 3rd grade and we went over at the beginning of 4th grade. Just like whole numbers, decimals have place values as well, except there's one difference. So in the number 1,234, when we're moving from ones to tens to hundreds to thousands, we're moving by times 10 every time. They get 10 times bigger as we go. Well, what about when we move this way? Is there something smaller than in the ones? Yes, that's like the fractions that we've done, and now we're going to do decimals. So this point, this decimal, kind of acts like a separator between the whole numbers and numbers that aren't whole yet. So if I had a 5 here, we said that this 5 is the same as 5/10 yesterday. Well, so we should know that this is in the tenths place. The reason I said that there's a difference is because we often like to think that, the first digit should be the ones. Well, it's not, because this is the ones. So it's going to kind of mirror on both sides. So this is the tens, while this is the tenths with a th at the end. Okay? So if this were the tenths and we're going to kind of mirror the opposite side, what would be the next digit if this were a 6? If this were a 6, it would be the hundredths place. And if there were one more digit, sorry, I'm kind of running out of room, say there was a 7 there, what do you think the next digit would be? If this was ones here, then there's a decimal, and we have tens and tenths, hundreds and hundredths. The next one would be thousandths. So I kind of just wanted to go over that real quick so I can show you that our place value chart for decimals is really similar to actually how we do place values on whole numbers. So with that being said, I want to convert fractions that are in the hundredths place into decimals that are in the hundredths place. So if I were to show you a fraction that were, let's do 91 hundredths, I would write that as 0 because there's no whole number. My point to separate between my whole number and my now decimal, and my decimal, which is 91. So this would be, I would read this as 91 hundredths. So the 9 is technically in the tenths place, and the 1 is in the thousands, or in the hundredths place, sorry. And so together that would be 91 hundredths. Let's do another one, and I'll leave that one up just so you can see it. So let's do 64 hundredths. Once again, you can see I don't have a whole number, so you would have to put a 0 in my decimal to kind of separate to show that this is my whole numbers and this is going to be my decimals. And then because it's over 100, I write just exactly what it says on top, so 64. So I would read that as 64 hundredths. So those are pretty easy, or they should be pretty easy, considering you're just writing down the numerator as the decimal. But what about if we have 4 hundredths? Some of you might see this and think, oh, that's easy, Mrs. Whitener. I just have to put my 0, my decimal, and my 4, because that's all that's on top. If this were tenths, that would be correct, but remember, we're actually in the hundredths place. So we have to put another 0 here, and we have to put a 4. Because remember when I went over the place value chart, this is the tenths, and this is the hundredths. If there was something in the tenths place before the 4, then that would go where this 0 is. But because there's not, we have to put a 0. So let's try another one that's kind of similar. Oops, I wrote that wrong. Nine 1/100ths. How would we write 9 1/100ths as a decimal? The first thing you would have to do is make a 0 to show that that's your ones place, your decimal to be your separator, and now I have 9. Would I just write 9? No, because it's not in the tens place, it's in the hundredths. So I would have to put a 0 and then a 9. So my answer would be 0.09, which would read as 9 1/100ths. Let's do one more together, and then I'm going to give you I'm going to give you 4 problems, 2 that were like yesterday's in the tenths place, and 2 that are in the hundredths. Okay, so let's do 23 hundredths. So I have no whole number in front, so I put my 0. I put my decimal as my separator. I do have something in the tens place, so I can just write it as 0.23. So that's the same as 23 hundredths. All right, the 4 that you're going to do on your own, I'm going to have you do 6 tenths, 1 tenth, 6 hundredths, and let's do 900 or 19 hundredths. These are the 4 problems that I want you to do on your own, and I want you to send them to me so I can see how you did. Please let me or Mrs. Sweet know if you have any questions about decimals so far, and know that you can earn dojos for sending those to me or to Mrs. Sweet. I hope you have a great weekend, and I look forward to working with you on Monday. Bye.